then. So, yeah, hi, can you hear me? Great, sound like you can hear me. I'm Chris, and this is Yo, and we've got Ross, Jessica, and Malachi over here, and we have been taking a look at how we can make use of extended reality and augmented reality in the diagnosis and research into neurodiverse patients.
We are a startup, and the idea really comes from actually my son, Malachi, who has autism and maybe ADHD. So he loves VR. So I was really inspired that by him to resolve the issues that he's facing, and also lots of clinicians are facing. I'm gonna cover that in the next slides. How do I go to the next one? So right now, the problem you're facing is that there are at least 2 years of wait time for children. And if for grown-ups, in much longer time, so across the globe, not just the UK, 14 hours of clinician and requires an interdisciplinary team. And the cost is about at least $1.50 per assessment. So if you have ADHD and autism, that will be all doubled. So 80% have no occurring conditions, but assessed separately. So like I said, if like say ADHD and autism is assessed separately, that's causing issues as well because that leads to misdiagnosis. And there's lots of cultural bias, and if an immigrant, because it's very subjective assessment based on the clinician's view, so that's being that leads to misdiagnosis. Or even if you're older, you can lead to masking, so that can be leads to misdiagnosis too, and especially for girls, girls tend to mask as well. So there are multiple bias issues we try to resolve. So this weekend's challenge is that how do we present our the solution and in a very minimal way that is because it's such a large project. So we try to stream down, present kind of a fraction of what it could look like. So within 48 hours, so there are different two interfaces we try to build. One is the ISR, so Chris is helping us to build that. And the difficulty is really, we don't have a really powerful computer, and we just have a game laptop. It's not powerful enough. And trying to use Unity, if you have done it, you know the challenge of that, and you can get everything set up. So Chris is really doing a good job trying to debug lots of issues. Especially if you're developing games, you know what it's like. It's very difficult, challenging. So very stressful. So, and then there's another interface, which is clinicians view, how to view the assessment, which is very important. And Jessica and Ross is helping on that. So yeah, that's and AI analysis to integrate the different AI models to analyze and present it to clinicians. So the left demo, I think we can. I don't know how to play that. Is it possible to play? Probably not.
Video.
Oh yeah, here. So this is kind of minimal of what it could look like. We can present very quickly. So basically, it's the analysis of a script, and it's looking at one dimension, which is the logic of users' input, and a report. So this report is very minimal. So the goal is that we can review the assessment, and lead to report generation is automate that process. We can go to the next slide. So I think the key things about the AI is now make sure it's explainable AI instead of black box. So clinician can add input, can review. That's the whole goal of that. I don't know how to go to the next slide.
I think you're out of time.
Okay. I think we covered the key points, right?
Well done. Well done.
Thanks.
Definitely not easy with VR. So, any questions?
So to what extent can this be used by a parent in relation to assessment without, pre-consultation? Is that something you thought about?
You guys, oh yeah, here. So the goal of this design is for clinicians, and potentially can be decentralized for schools, and there should be some guidance, but you should be very easily to be trained up. And this is not particularly designed for parents, because we want to generate an extensive report and to provide insights for clinicians. That's why we integrate multiple multimodal AI agents to provide full dimension for the user. So it could be like eye tracking, could be your physiological data, affection data. There are lots of competitors already working on solution for parents. You can do domestic, which doesn't provide such a full intensive data. So we try to not to compete with them. So we want to just focus on clinicians, could be private hospital, and also could be thought about decentralization. So private, local clinics, you could be your doctor or like schools. I think that's really important. I also thought about longitude assessment because kids tend to change. Like my son is now completely different from who he was like 10 years ago when he had assessment. So we thought about the report probably is not so relevant. So I think longitude assessment could be easily done with that kind of technology, like every 2 years.
Anybody?
It's the what happens next. What's the impact on clinicians, and maybe Nigel or something like that.
So, is there a question? Okay. We plan to first to continue to develop this, but what's really important for us is to collaborate with clinicians, because they're to understand the workflow, to understand all the different dimensions they're looking at, and even think about what we can present with from technology perspective, what other dimension that clinician cannot assess, we can add additional input. And we already got some small funding from in the UK, so we just want to continue to build and collaborate with, PPI and clinicians, continue building that data testing.
What are the diagnostic criteria that these technologies would use to determine neurodiverse to neurotypical, let's say, boundaries?
There's so many.
13 seconds, yeah.
There's so many, like physiological data, psychological data, and affective data.
Specifically, what we're aiming for at this point is voice modulation and the position of a user's eyes whilst they're carrying out simple tasks.
Yeah, and connecting your body movement, because VR has a capacity to capture lots of data, or even the context, environment, lighting, all that's very important.
Well done.